Danfall offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshi traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfall, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfall, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfall, Africa. To learn more, visit danfall.africa.
History isn't just what happened, it's who we are. And now you can explore Africa's incredible past like never before. Introducing the new and engaging course catalog from aelearning.net, a world-class provider of interactive e-learning focused on Africa's rich and diverse history. From the rise of ancient Nubia and the power of the Mali Empire, to the architectural wonders of Egypt and the development of astrological knowledge by the Dogon people, each self-paced course brings history to life through stunning visuals, immersive video lessons, and interactive assessments. Designed for students, educators, and lifelong learners around the world, AE Learning's courses make discovering Africa's story easier, deeper, and more engaging than ever. With AE Learning, education meets flexibility. Whether you're a student, teacher, or lifelong learner, our platform gives you access to credible knowledge, rich multimedia lessons, and tools that make learning African history engaging and unforgettable. Join thousands of learners already rediscovering Africa's past and shaping its future. Visit www.aelearning.net today. Start your journey through Africa's past today, because the story of Africa is the story of us all. AE Learning, inspiration through high-quality education.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thanks for joining. Hit that like button, and please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Let's see what we got going on in the chat already. Shout out to Marie Shai, our faithful moderator who joined this search for Huru journey back in since 2017. Y'all, Marie is about 10 years strong, probably longer than that. But everyone, please hit that like button, and please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Had a fun day yesterday. So Mansa made it to the state, I guess the state finals for the science fair in Georgia. And so it was held at the University of Georgia in Athens, which is my alma mater. So I had went down there, visited went to football practice yesterday. Spring ball's going on. So I, visited my old stopping grounds and watched some spring ball. Boy, them dogs look good. Them dogs look good. I'll tell you that. So did that. Spent some time in Athens, caught up with a couple of friends, and had Had a good time. So that's what we did yesterday. It's kind of cooled off here in a little. It's kind of cooled off here in Atlanta a little bit. Not too bad. Not too bad, but it's kind of cool right now. Hopefully it warms back up. In fact, let me check the weather. I'm also going to be y'all weatherman as well today. Let's see your weather. Atlanta, it is 62 degrees right now. Yeah, it's supposed to warm up a little bit tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be in the 70s. It's gonna be in the 70s for the rest of this week, except for Sunday, it drops back to 68. But hey, we'll take that. I will take the 60s and 70s versus the 30s and 40s. So let's we'll roll with that. But everyone, thank you so much for joining on this beautiful, cool Sunday afternoon. Got a couple of announcements. Announcement number one: we are rolling to Senegal. We're going to Senegal May 9th to the 18th. May 9th to the 18th. If you're interested in joining us in Senegal, please visit Danfall, that's DANFO .Africa. Again, please visit Danfall, that's DANFO .Africa. We'll love to host you all in Senegal and eat the best African food, some of the best food in the world. Speaking of food, I had some real good Thai food yesterday. So when I was driving in from Athens, coming up 85 North, I got off on what exit is that? Cheshire Bridge Road. Cheshire Bridge Road. And there's a little hole in the wall Thai spot called Little Bangkok. It's called Little Bangkok. That's in Atlanta. So I got me some pad thai, some egg rolls, and boy, did it hit. That pad thai and them egg rolls, boy, they was off the chain. Speaking of food, I'm already hungry. Earlier today I cooked some chicken in my air fryer. I'm fire with that air fryer, y'all. I am fire with that air fryer. So I put some chicken in the air fryer and then ate some leftover Mexican food from Thursday. Then tomorrow, even though we're about to be in Senegal, and I'm gonna have the real authentic thing. There's a Senegalese restaurant in Atlanta called Bamba, and I'm always like fiending, always in the taste for some cassava. So I might go grab me some cassava. So I might do that tomorrow. But hit that like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. And visit Danfall.Africa. Love to have you guys on one of the trips. Again, love to have you guys on one of the trips. So visit Danfall.Africa. Going to Senegal in May, Nigeria in August, Zanzibar in September. Where else are we going? Ghana and Ivory Coast in November, and Sierra Leone in November, and then we're rolling to Benin in January. So if you're interested in joining, please visit Danfall.Africa. If you're interested in joining, please visit Danfall, that's DANFO .Africa to learn more. Let's jump into today's topic. Ghana signing a deal with the EU to provide security. And we already had the conversation last month how Ghana signed a deal with France to help them stop I forgot what the term is, the illegal mining. It's called Gamsley. Is it Gamsley? Gamsley? Is that what you guys call it? Gamsley? The illegal mining. What's it called, you guys? Gamsley. Somebody help me out in the chat room. So Ghana is now getting help from the EU to stop terrorism, to help fight terrorism. Because let's be honest, guys. And I know Galamsey, thank you. I know whenever we talk about whenever we criticize the AES, people get offended. But the reality is, Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, they have a serious jihadi problem. In fact, to the point, and I was going to do a separate show on this. Mali had to make a deal with the ISIS affiliate. I think they're called JNMH, or I forgot the acronym. GNIM, I think, something like that, or JNIM, something like that. They had to release over 100 JNIM prisoners, terrorists. We're gonna call it what it is, terrorists. They had to make a deal with them because they were stopping the fuel, the fuel that was coming into Bamako. They was taxing them. They was shaking them down. And so Mali said, "Hey, we'll free your your terrorist friends, your comrades. We'll free them if you stop taxing the full convoys that are coming into Bamako to deliver fuel." Oh, I'm a liar now. Okay, I'm a liar now. Let me pull it up. Now I'm lying. Okay. So they had to release them.
Don't start your day.
So they could get the fuel into Bamako. Who caused the terrorism to Sahel? Obama played a huge role in that. Barack Obama, Black Jesus, Barack Obama played a huge role in that.
With a gross piece of plastic in your hand, adding to the 4 billion plastic toothbrushes that get
More than More than 100 suspects jihadists have been freed in Mali. Official sources say the release is part of a deal to halt attacks on fuel convoys that have been strangling the capital Bamako. Since September, the Al-Qaeda affiliate JNIM has been targeting tanker trucks. The blockade was so severe in October that it brought the capital to a standstill. Local officials confirmed the release was made in exchange for opening a secure corridor for the convoys. Security sources say the truce is temporary, set to last only until the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha at the end of May. Representatives for the Fulani ethnic group add that many of their community members, often conflated with jihadists, were also set free. Mali has been battling deep security crisis since 2012, facing threats from both Al-Qaeda and ISIS affiliates, as well as local criminal gangs. For now, the fuel is flowing again, but the pause in violence appears to be a short-term fix for a long-term crisis.
Yeah. So there it is. And if it didn't happen, you're more than welcome to post the link. So, but yeah, so that's what's going on. So you have that going on. You have the terrorist insurgency in Burkina Faso, and so they're right on the border of Ghana. So Ghana's like, listen, we need to strengthen our security because these terrorist fools, they're right at our borders. So they had to seek help. But what's interesting, they didn't seek help from Russia. And guys, there's just too much of a record of Russia just doing a very poor job when it comes to defending Africans from insurgents. Russia has just been doing a terrible job when it comes to defending Africans from insurgency. I mean, they do okay, but they just can't. They're not doing enough. They can't handle the pressure. So therefore, Ghana had to call on the EU and France because Russia just doesn't know what to do. Russia's in over their heads. It's just the reality, guys. I know y'all love Russia. I know y'all think Russia's the greatest ally, but they just don't have. Russia doesn't have the resource to tackle extreme these militant terrorists. They just don't have. They don't have the resources or to know it all. Russia doesn't. And like I said, Russia has a terrible track record when it comes to actually defending and protecting Africans when it comes to these radical Islamic jihadist terrorists. They just ain't got the answers. So Ghana said, you know what, Burkina Faso, which borders us to the north, and they still, and I know when I speak on the AES, when I speak on the general, people get upset, but the reality is, not too long ago, about a month ago, about 15 Ghanaian tomato sellers were massacred in Burkina Faso by the jihadis. And I want to say about a week ago, there was another jihadi terrorist. I don't know the correct term is massacre or mass killing in Burkina Faso. So Ghana's like, listen, we don't want this junk to spread into Ghana, so we need to get help. And Russia just ain't it. Again, Russia just ain't it.
I've seen plenty of power banks over my 15 years.
Oh, in fact, it's I forgot how many of the tomato sellers were killed, but it was like maybe 10 of them.
The Interior Minister, released a communique on their website, and it wasn't something that was pretty. It's very disturbing, and we are going to go through what happened and the events that led to, the unfortunate incident that happened in Burkina Faso. So the statement read, the government of Ghana has received disturbing information from Burkina Faso of a truck carrying tomato traders from Ghana, which was caught in a terrorist attack in Titao, Burkina Faso on Saturday, 14 February 2026. The Ghana embassy in Burkina Faso is liaising with the officials of the Burkina Faso to visit the attack site for details and identification of Ghanaians caught in the attack. Further details will be communicated to the public, and this was signed by Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak. He's the Minister for Interior and National Security. So later on the day, we were trying to dig in to find more details as to what happened. Actually, it said, so it was confirmed by the government. It says Ghana's embassy in Burkina Faso has since confirmed that some Ghanaian tomato merchants and truck drivers lost their lives. The attack has been linked to the Jama'at Nasser al-Islam wal Muslimin, which is the...
Right, and this is the same terror cell that Mali just made the deal with so they could stop taxing their fuel convoys. This is the same terror cell.
JNIM Sahel. Reports indicate that the several trucks were set ablaze, male traders and drivers were killed, and female traders were spared. Authorities are working to identify victims and support. So we are going to dive in a little bit on what this whole thing is about. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see where the incident happened. It's Titao in Burkina Faso. If you're watching us, you can see that the place is
let me give a disclaimer. Fair use. And guys, make sure you subscribe to 99.5 FM. This is a Ghanaian radio station.
With next to no development over there, no roads. I can see no roads. It looks like a desert area with a lot of detached houses and uncompleted houses. It's basically a village setup or a remote area setup of a sort. And this is where the incident happened in Burkina Faso. The place is called Titao in the Lome province. So let's talk about Jamaat al-Nasr al-Islam wal Muslimin, or the jihadist coalition affiliated with Al-Qaeda. It was formed in 2017 after, the collapse of Mali. A lot of groups, set up trying to gain control over the Sahel regions. And later they, realized that when they come together, and then their power and their influence is going to be, bigger. So the major of the groups that has formed this JNIM is Ansar Deen, AQIM, Al-Murabitun, and then Masina Liberation Front. The leader of this group is called Iyad Al-Ghali. He's a former Tuareg and a rebel leader. So their areas of operation spans the entire, Sahel region of Africa, from Mali, Burkina Faso, to Niger, and to I think Chad is not one of them, but it looks like they operate in those areas too. The objectives of establishing terrorizing people in this area is to establish a Sharia law, or for some people say an Islamic state. They want to expel foreign forces, and they want to target Sahel government. Their key activities.
All right, so we got the idea. So this is what's going on. This is what Ghana is defending itself from. It's right at the border. So this is what Ghana is defending itself from. And obviously, Russia can't handle the job. So now they're seeking help from the EU and France. So yeah. So let's get back into the EU deal. So these are the details of the EU deal, security deal.
I'm Adam Fisher.
And I'm Tyler Fish, and we're the co-founders of Sunhome Saunas. We saw the market.
Ghana has made history as the first African country to conclude a strategic security and defense agreement with the European Union. The deal places Ghana among a small group of EU security partners that includes the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, and Norway. The agreement was signed in Accra by Ghana's Vice President, Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyeman, and Kaya Kallas, Vice President of the European Commission, during her official visit. DW's Adra Tenkroma-Domina has more.
The new security and defense partnership sets out a structured long-term framework for cooperation between Ghana and the European Union. It focuses on shared security challenges that continue to affect the region. Now, these include terrorism spilling over from the Sahel, cyber and hybrid threats, maritime insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea, the impacts of climate pressures on instability, and the rise of transnational organized crime. How does Ghana benefit? The agreement is expected to improve Ghana's capabilities in counterterrorism, border management, and crisis response. It comes at a moment when West Africa is facing growing militant activity and political uncertainty. What does the EU hope to achieve? Kaya Kallas shared more insights during an interview with DW.
Now, we are supporting, of course, also the different approach when it comes to economy, because I think it's important that we also deal with the root causes of instability, which are stemming from economy, and therefore, our support in various projects via the Global Gateway, but also, different support mechanisms that we have. And this is important that we continue to see what more is there. We also were exploring the bilateral possibilities. I mean, what we are interested in are critical raw materials, and also what kind of cooperation we could have there, plus also energy.
All right, go ahead, Elvis.
All right. Thank you, Dinus. Hello to you and the panel in the chat. Look, I'm just so proud of Ghana, and I'm not going to say I'm proud. I'm going to rescind that. I'm happy that Ghana is prioritizing their national security above, petty brotherhood. Some of the countries in West Africa should be lucky. The likes of Liberia, Sierra Leone, and even Ghana to an extent, that these jihadists and Islamists hasn't invaded their borders and brought terrorism, on their land. So if a country knows and have the foresight to see that this is going to be a problem, this might spill over to our country, and we're going to take the necessary precautions to make sure that we are prepared for it if it does happen eventually. This is a good thing. This is a president and a government that's prioritizing the safety of his people. So for anybody to think that this is treasonous or this is a sellout, they're wrong. And Dennis, I think your analysis was spot on. Ghana is protecting itself from a potential threat. And shout out to the AES. They've been making strides, but one of the things that they've had a weakness on is fighting these terrorists. And the reason I think this is just a conjecture, but this is my own analysis, I think these terrorists tend to target Muslim majority or heavily Muslim populated countries because they can easily recruit from those populations. And I think Ghana being a majority Christian country, and some other countries in West Africa, it's going to be hard to go and Islamicize a Christian population and try to recruit from them. They're going to fight you back. So maybe that's why they target these Muslim majority African countries, because they're easier to recruit from. But hopefully, even if Ghana has to bring the French back into their country to protect them, I think they should do it, because you'll hear a lot of Muslims say, well, it's the French that started these terrorist groups. It's the French that's funding them. So don't bring the French back to protect you. Protect yourself. When the Russians are in Burkina Faso and Mali and wherever else, they're not helping to stop this terrorist group. I always go back to East Africa. You may disagree with the United States. You may disagree with France and Britain, but they certainly stopped Al-Shabaab in that region. They certainly put boot to ass and kick a lot of them out of Kenya. In 9 days, we don't hear about malls getting shot up, girls' schools getting taken over, and people being slaughtered. We don't hear that nonsense. So shout out to Ghana for protecting its people and its interests. I'll pass to Mike Dennis.
Go ahead, Africa.
Yeah, greetings, Dinus, everyone in the chats, and on the show. Please like, share, subscribe, and support, please. Okay, I mean, we've been here before, Dinus. I mean, when we're trying to have a balanced approach to a solution, you got some people who are very, we have this psychophantasy that's going on. Not all of them. A lot of people want. Obviously, I can see we all want, results out of this, because it's going to affect us, all of us, one way or another, and without, bringing religion or tribalizing it or trying to bring our sentiment into it, because this thing is going to affect all of us if it's not sorted out. So, like when I said quite a while ago, and I still stick to my ground, that you need all kind of hands on deck approach to deal with this sort of issue. I still mean it. To say you're just going to side with Russia, in terms of dealing with terrorism or dealing with your crisis, because terrorism, you need to understand what is the belly of it, what is causing this, what is causing these people coming from outside, recruiting a young, uneducated, population, and also this population who have been suffering from different kind of poverty over the years. These people don't go to rich areas, as Elvis just said. They wouldn't go to certain areas and recruit, because they're not going to get success. They go to the certain vulnerable community that they know they can actually lay their hands on, and they will do it, and they will pay these guys enough money to do their own harm. And this has always been the case with terrorism. And also we know for a fact that with terrorism, you need technology to deal with it. You need enough surveillance. You need all the stuff that all the surveillance you can get to deal with terrorism. You can't just generalize everybody. Oh, you're all terrorists, and also you just go in there all guns blazing, and you think you're going to defeat terrorists. It never happened before. I live in the UK. In United Kingdom, are one of the few countries, in fact, probably the only country in Europe, who actually fought terrorism in the ground in Ireland. And this was a religious terrorist, they're Christian terrorists, the IRA. Okay, we all seen it happening on the TV. The UK, the way they dealt with it in a different way. They negotiated with some of them, and they freed some of them, and actually rehabilitated some of these people back into the community. And some of them they fought them out. Okay, and they managed to succeed. So these are the same people who are using the same expertise knowledge to go to other countries to help fight terrorism. And I saw the British military officer went to Mali, and extended his hand. And I come from Sierra Leone. We know exactly what we had in Sierra Leone. We had outsiders similar to what's going on in the Sahel, but in the name of whatever, they was paid to come to Sierra Leone and Liberia and destroy our country. We fought them hard. Up to now, I'm suffering from it. But it took the British to come and put a final nail in the coffin to get rid of these people out of our country and fought them out. And when they finished fighting the war, the British did not stay and say, "Oh, we're going to control you guys and your destiny." They packed their bags and they left. That was the SAS. So there's some countries that are known to do that. Some countries, of course, we have the European Union, they have their own agenda, as we hear, the way they will come. We know the French, they've not been, really good to us Africans, and the British for that matter, according to history. But let's look at the reality in the ground. If you cannot defeat these guys, you've been fighting them for a long time, find different solutions that will work for your population, because it's all about bringing peace to the nation and development. Whatever partnership that works for you, follow that one. Don't follow emotions on the internet, or, I think these guys in the AES, I think they also have a lot of problem and a lot of responsibility on their shoulder under this Pan Africanism, where everybody's like, oh yeah, the AES, the anti-West and this, anti that. So I think that's all that is going to put pressure in their mind to actually deal with it.
Hey,
Because
30 seconds, I got to pass the
yes,
mic.
okay, and also that would make them feel like mentally limited by the people that's actually clapping for them, right? So instead of having to work with the West, they probably will be sticking to the Russians only because they feel like the populism is not on that in that favor, basically. But yeah, pass the mic, Dennis. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, go ahead. Passport King, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Passport King, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just did. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me up. My, there is just so much to unpack here. Where to start? Okay, let's start with the obvious. When Ghana's vice president, on behalf of the president, signed this deal, what an amazing coincidence she signed on the very same day that he was down the UN trying to run the reparations scam finesse. You think that's a coincidence? Because either one, he's not serious about reparation, even though I do think they're trying to scam, or two, that also happened to be a convenient sleight of hand, look this way because I don't want you to see what's going on in my homeland, knowing he's selling his people out. So this proves everything that I, and not only I, other FBAs and even other U.S. slavery descendants, Black Americans, whatever term we use, why we're so against Ghana poking their nose in reparation. Y'all got this going on back home, and you're supposedly concerned about what we're doing here with our reparation struggle that we've been fighting for decades, long before Ghana got involved. We don't need their help. Let's put it this way. You just talked about them Muslim terrorist separatists. Well, guess what? Black community, we got a large section of Muslims too. Nation of Islam, headquarters in Chicago. Guess what? In the entire history of the Nation of Islam, whatever anyone may think about them, there's never been no terrorist battles between them and the Southern Baptist Conference, which most Black Americans are Southern Baptists. There's never been no nation NOI members going down to the South attacking the Southern Baptists or vice versa going up. That's not going in America. And the reason why I'm bringing that up in relation to what happened in Ghana with the terrorist incident that Dinus just mentioned, and them having to negotiate, that's not going on in Black America. And I also want to point that out because you get a lot of y'all Africans and Pan-Africanists, you'll come up in here and y'all the ones repeating the white supremacist talking points about crime in the black community, this, and that. And we don't got the kind of nonsense remotely close to what's going on in Ghana. And then if we look at the Zulu festival, etc., etc. But that's a nice little start. I'm gonna land my plane there, and I'm gonna listen to everyone else, you know, try to gaslight, rationalize, and explain the betrayal of Ghana's president, and also showing how weak they are as a country. I land my plane there.
All right, guys, hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Go ahead, CD.
Hey guys, it's everybody. So yeah, it go back to what we've been talking about Russia, right? I I'm not downgrading what Russia, have done in Africa and in other part of the world, but I don't see any success story of Russian anywhere in any part of the world, right? As a proxy against US. The example is in Syria, they supported Assad. US got rid of Assad. They ready for Assad. Assad was gone. Maduro's was the Russian. They got ready for Maduro's. They got rid of him. When Mujahideen in Afghanistan, when Russia fight Afghanistan, what US did, they funded Mujahideen rebel. They got rid of the Russian. Russian got to withdraw in 1989. So I don't see any success story of any part of the world, whether in Africa. They were dominant in Guinea back in the days, right? When you look at history, during this time, he was a powerful leader in Africa. In fact, he's negotiating
Hey, CD, you're
peace
having,
made
you're
between
having, you're,
Iran and
CD,
Iraq.
CD, you're having, CD, you're having connection issues.
Okay, you hear me?
That's better. Go ahead.
Hello? That's better. Go ahead. So, Secretary was the peacemaker between Iran and Iraq as a head of Islamic League, right, in 1980. That's how powerful he was. But when he got sick, who sent him flight for him was the king of Saudi Arabia. Where did he die? He didn't die in Cleveland, Ohio. He did not go to Russia, right? So, and one thing I already said in Africa, and I agree with them because the jihadis will go part of the world that where there's a lot of poverty among the Islamic group, right? That's why in Ivory Coast right now, Ouattara is investing a lot of money into the northern part of Ivory Coast because there needs to be a lot of diamond, but there's a shortage of diamond right now. So he's trying to build a factory to recruit young, Ivorians not to be recruited by the terrorists. Because the way always use the religion to recruit them. Because when people give up in life, when you say they go, they either go to church or they go to the mosque, right? Because people will turn to God because they have no other hope, right? So this is how you have to prevent tourism into your country. If you invest into your population, make people resourceful, and make them productive, I think it will be very difficult for tourist group to come and recruit them. But when there's a lot of poverty and people have no hope, they will use the Quran or the Bible to recruit people to go and fight, right? So that's one of the means that Ivory Coast is using right now to make sure they build factory and people, not people just going to college, but make them have a trade to able to feed their family, right? So back to Russia again. I've not seen Russians even
Hey, bro,
in Central Africa.
You got 30 seconds. Got to pass it.
Right. So mostly Russia will not even send their professional soldiers into most of these African countries. Who they send? The Wagner group. The Wagner groups are the group that prisoners, former criminals that they recruited into. It's almost like a liaison officer from France. They recruit them, they send them to the African country. They are not professional Russian army. These are people that they recruit from the street or they recruit them from the prison. Right. So, and back to Passport King, I want to respond to him. Black people are the only people that fight in America to be American. Anybody can be American. Right now, your president is selling the citizenship. If you have money, you can become an American citizen. Very few countries like that. So in America, nobody should boast of being American citizen. Anybody can be American citizen, right? And it's sad to see Black people fighting to protect America all the time if we are the one at the bottom of the list. When you look at the
All right,
success
CD,
story,
CD, I
we are
got
the
it.
one at the
CD,
bottom of
CD.
the list.
Let me pass the mic. Go ahead, say James. Let me just say James.
Hey, hi, Diners. Thanks for having me. Great topic here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and address the topic and be quiet for a minute. And when you put these kind of titles, I'm not gonna take it personal, but I believe a lot of people don't are not informed about the EES, right? So I'm gonna take it easy today because it's Sunday. And I advise everybody. I know it's difficult. Most of the people in America speak English. So the language barrier is there, and AES has to do a better job, maybe, as far as trying to reach out to the diaspora, speaking different languages. Maybe English should be the first to, and not only like last month in February, right? Ghana and Burkina Faso just signed a security agreement. So according to what you're saying, if there was no success in the AES, Ghana wouldn't have done that. Because last time when I came on here, I told you that when Dramani became president of Ghana, he sent a team to Burkina Faso, AES in general, to look into the situation, right? To see if these leaders are really serious about fighting terrorism. It took his time because he's from the ECOWAS bloc and he was trying to give us, like a fair treatment, right? And he did that. And then come to find out, if his team told him these guys are serious about fighting terrorism. Therefore, we have to link up to see if we can, overcome this threat. And that's what he did. That's the first thing. Maybe you didn't hear that. It's there. You can Google it. Ghana did that. So second of all, my country, right? We share a border with Ghana, Togo, and Benin, Mali, Niger. Out of these countries that I just mentioned, Ghana happened to be one of the safest border. You can look at it. I'm not saying there is no threat, but out of all these countries, maybe I can add Togo in there too, but Togo is going through it. But Togo is engaged with us. Ghana happened to be one of the safest. You know why? Because you can look it up. Before Traore took power, these terrorists were looking for Ghana. They were already close to the border. Most of the Ghanaians will tell you, those that live at the northern border will tell you, there were already people crossing from Burkina Faso in high numbers going to Ghana. So we were already seeing the sign that Ghana was about to be hit. When Traore took power, he reversed the course. And the Ghanaian can attest to that. Now me, you might not respect what I say, you don't have to, but you can ask the Ghanaian themselves that live at the borders. They've seen a huge improvement when Traore took power. These are facts, not opinion. Okay, third of all, you just put a video of journalists talking about Mali paying terrorists to get some of their people released. Donis, I'm asking you, so then we won the war then. Then we all gotta just stop fighting and pay these terrorists. If that's the new trend, I'm going to advise the AES, let's go pay these terrorists, right? When they cross the border to Burkina Faso and they try to go to Togo, Benin, Nigeria, wherever, right? Just pay them so they can go. That's the new plan. Because I find it very disrespectful for people to come on here and tell us the very country that are fighting terrorists are paying them at the same time. So this becomes a joke. So therefore, we don't have to fight. We don't have to do anything. They're not only attacking Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. If that's the case, we have enough money to pay this guy to go to Benin, to go to Ivory Coast, and go to Ghana. We can do it. We can just tell them we don't want to fight. We don't care. Let's here your money, cross the border, and see what happens in West Africa. Since that's your new plan, I'm just letting you know. I mean, let's not do this. You can hear Traore telling you guys that there is no compromise between us and the terrorists. So we're not going to get into an agreement, a partnership, or whatever alliance with Niger and Mali, knowing that one of our partners is paying terrorists. So what's the point of having AES then? Come on, man. Let's be honest about this, man. And then I'm not gonna, bro. Ghana has the United States. I don't know if there's a military base, whatever. I don't know. They're in Ghana. They have the French in there too, for reasons I don't know. That's their country. That whatever they sign with the European, that's up to them. They're a sovereign nation. We don't check people's partnership. But we may have a say so about the French, but anybody that has a different kind of partnership in West Africa in terms of trying to address a security issue, go for it. Now, sitting on here talking about Russia, okay, the United States went to Ghana. I don't know if you watched the news last month. What happened in Nigeria? Nigeria registered the most killings, the most kidnapping out of all these three AES countries in the last months with the United States in it. So are you telling me the partnership is not working? Obviously, something is not working.
Yeah.
And again, last time, no. The U.S. is there.
I'm talking. I'm the host.
Okay, sure.
We know the partnership's not working. Nobody said.
Okay, but no. What I'm trying to tell you is that when I come on here, I only hear Russia. That's the thing. That's why I want to bring other nations that are also failing in West Africa. We don't tend to bring them. And I told you, if the United States, with the new leadership with Trump, right? I'm in the fence of it. If I see improvement in Nigeria, anywhere else Nigeria is, the United States is involved as far as fighting terrorism, I will consider it. But I have to see the actions. So far, I don't see it. Nigeria is still going through it every day. And I'm not for a swipe, Russia against the United States. Most of these people on this panel, I don't know if the idea is to bring a foreigner to fight for them. I'm not sitting here depending on Russia to fight for us. I already told you. We want the training, we want the equipment, and we want to get our army up to speed so we can protect ourselves. Anything that happened in the Sahel should be our responsibility.
Hey, let me
not Russia.
I gotta pass the mic.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here in Philly, man, and I'm around a lot of Africans like every single day. There's a lot of Ghanaians that live here, and it's split. Like I've been having conversations with them. There's a lot of Ghanaians that's very disappointed in him making this deal, and some of them are very happy, some of them not. And I've been watching like a lot of the different African channels, news channels and stuff, but they're talking. They're basically saying that a lot of the terrorism, they're saying Islamic terrorism is being caused by the West, so that way they can come in and take over. That a lot of that money is still controlled by the European Union. They ain't controlling nothing, man. That's a smokescreen. So now they come in and you allow them to set up defense in Ghana. All that is supposed to protect their interests. Man, like all this stuff is garbage, man. And people, like, we always lying. Africa don't have the defense to defend themselves against them European nations. They never have, and they don't have the military to do it now. So all they doing is saying thank you, British, for coming in and saving us from other black people from killing us. But where they getting the funding from to do it? At the end of the day, and these are Africans saying this. These are Africans that's saying it's the same old, same old. The United States tried to go into Botswana and set up a deal, and they turned them down. So, like, until Africans get a military to really defend themselves and tell the Europeans to go F themselves, man, it's just going to be the same thing over and over and over again. We could talk all day till our face turns blue. Man, it's bullcrap. So now I guess Ibrahim Traore is the bad guy, and the Europeans is the good guy again, coming in, swooping up to save the Africans. Like, come on, man. Like, I just want to know when somebody gonna really tell the truth.
All right, let me pass the mic to Rokoya. I asked Skip Rokoya. Go ahead, Rokoya.
Wow, greetings everyone. Calling you from Accra, Ghana, and where it's all happening. So, well, I want to thank you. I haven't been on your show for a while, and I'd like to say that everyone who's spoken has brought a perspective, especially those who have a great understanding of Africa and the way our I guess you'd say our political, spatial, economic, and also our social structures are. Others who are labeling themselves as FBA, some of the things they're saying are so far-fetched. They could be speaking about people who came from Mars. They certainly don't understand. Everybody has an angle, and I'm also just going to bring a perspective into it. We tend to always look at things in black and white. It's Russia, or it's America, or it's France, or whatever. But the African leadership itself over time is building a lot of strategic understanding and nuancing. And so for Ghana to go sign with the European Union, I wonder if anybody has actually taken time to review what this the partnership is. There's certain tactical things that are in the program that makes it impossible for them to go, or makes it difficult for them to go with the Russians. It doesn't mean that the Russians are being seen as incapable, or the Russians are being seen as an alternative. It may just seem possibly be the deal that's on the ground. Ghana has a very good relationship with Burkina Faso and the AES. In fact, if you study some of the movements of the Ghanaian leadership, and some of the and I'm glad Mr. Sam James talked about the security deal that was had. There's a lot of cross-border things going, and to think that we can just come on a show and talk generally about, oh, this is the president is being a sellout. If he's a sellout and he doesn't fully understand, why is he going to the UN and trying to make a case for reparation? I know people are so short-sighted that all they think about is, oh, he's going after our money. You have to build strategy. Do you think all the other groups of people, the Jews, the Japan, did you think they just got their reparations because they were smiling and asking for it? You must have some economic might. You must have some consequences. So if Africans are pulling, with Ghana being the leader, these are all things that the AU is behind, other strategic regional groups are behind, and CARICOM, Caribbean. So there is a lot of movement going on in Africa, and if you're not in the mix and not you don't talk and understand what's going on, you can just sit on a YouTube talk and talk some stuff, which is fine. In my language, they say you talk, you're just airing all the funk out of your mouth. It means nothing. You're just talking. But I would really love to see some of these shows that we come on be educative opportunities for us to learn about each other, to understand that there is a new Africa growing. It's building. Every day we come on and we mix and we talk about all these things. Too, they're dummies. They know that these European Union countries have their agendas. So we have our agendas too, and we set our agendas. We will not be continuously weak. The world is changing. We're all seeing what's happening now. I bet some people thought, oh, the war will be done, and no, that is true, because the games have changed all over the world. And I don't want to go further than I'll end it here, but I want to tell you simply that whatever deal is struck, there are strategic reasons why, there's capabilities, there's shared visions, there's actually even long-term goals that these African countries are working on. And so give them grace and see what happens. And on this, I love. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Mansek, go ahead.
Yeah, what's up, brother? So I just wanted to just address what you were saying earlier. There's no validation of Mali negotiating with JNIM, because I'm gonna say, because Assimi Gorda, he speaks Bambara, I speak Malikan. The language is pretty much similar. And he said, even in the beginning, he says that they don't negotiate with terrorists. Just the other, so it is the case. It did negotiate with terrorists with the so-called prisoner exchange. Why did the other day they neutralize 50 terrorists? Literally the other day, 50 terrorists, and it's consistent. So that's the AS's model. They don't negotiate with terrorists. And then that news source is a Western news source propaganda. ASTV didn't say anything about it. ORTM didn't say nothing about it. Faso Express didn't say nothing about it. Burkina 24 didn't say anything about it. None of those news stations who I just addressed, all part of the AES networks, didn't say nothing about it. So that part is not true, right? The only country that I know so far that has negotiated with terrorists, definitely Nigeria. Everyone knows Nigeria negotiate with terrorists. Benin, and Ivory Coast. So that's the first issue, right? And then you said, Dinus, about Russia being there. If I'm not mistaken, I think Russia only been there for 3 years, right? But yet we, the U.S., has bombed Yemen, has bombed Somalia, has bombed multitude of other countries. And did they submit? Somalia didn't submit, and Yemen didn't submit. So the thing is that you just can't go bombing terrorists, because what's going to happen is you go bomb a terrorist, another leader's just going to prop up. You got to go destroy networks, and that's what the AS is doing. Because anybody can go and just bomb a whole bunch of people. We did it in Afghanistan for 20 years, and look what happened. We went there, we bombed all these damn terrorists just to give it back to the Taliban. So what was the point of even being there if we're going to take it from those people? So they're destroying networks, and they've been doing a very good job about that. And then on top of that, they got local manufacturing. They're doing the infrastructure, and then they also have multitude of partnerships. Yes, but the main ones is mostly Turkey, it's Russia, and it's China on as far as the infrastructure, right? And then I want to address City's thing when he says that Russia is only known for their Wagner group. Brother, that is not so true, because that IB went to Russia, and when he went to Russia, he said that we need to improve our sciences. And as you know, the AES is working on their own indigenous satellite. It's going to come out, I think, in 2028 or 2030. And they're also working on their nuclear program for electricity. So if City, what you were saying about that's like their only expertise, why are they getting expertise on that, right? And then as far as Ghanaians' partnership, I mean, I can't really comment on Ghana, but I can say is they're a sovereign country. They could just do whatever they want. They have a right to partner with anybody. But that's what I wanted to say is like, you guys got to look at those other networks I was just mentioning. But the only problem is, like on the downside, what St. James was saying, the only mistake that they had made, it's not in English. Unless you speak those indigenous languages or you speak French, you're not going to see it. So I just tell everybody, listen, if you got a chance, type in ORTM, ORTN, ASTV. These things is on YouTube. You can find and you can actually see it, and they have the subtitles. You can look at it. But that's it.
Well, Masacha, I want to respond to what you said.
Well, let me do this. Let me pass it to Sandman first, and you can respond. Go ahead, Sandman.
Thank you for letting me on there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, when you start to connect the dots and try to figure out what's going on in West Africa, seems like it's a huge mess. Earlier you mentioned Russia isn't doing a good job of controlling Islamic terrorists. Well, you look at Russia's track record, and they're allies with the biggest supporters of Islamic terrorism in Iran. So why would you think they would be so gun ho about stopping Islamic extremism in West Africa? And then you start connecting more of the dots, and you say, well, where are these Islamic extremists in West Africa getting their weapons from? If you do your research, it says that they're getting their weapons from looting from the Sahel states like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. All of these countries get their weapons directly from whom? Russia, Libya, northern African countries like Egypt and China. So, or off of the black market. Wasn't too long ago in 2022, the god of war, or Vitor Bout, I believe his name is, was exchanged for that female basketball player, and he was one of the biggest arms dealers in the world. So he's back on the scene selling weapons on the black market as well. So when you start to connect these dots and you say, okay, well, these Islamic extremists are getting their weapons from who? Russia, the black market, and China, who are your real friends in West Africa. Now you got a country like Ghana that says they want to ally with the EU or the West, so to speak, and start getting their weapons from I assume France or maybe even the United States to protect their borders against Islamic extremism. So yeah, it's just one big mess. we need better security in West Africa. You can't allow these Islamic extremists, for one, to loot your military arms ports for your weapons. You need stronger forces, for one, and then you need superior firepower so that when they do attempt to attack your country, that you suppress them and you eliminate them quickly and extremely deadly, so that they don't try it again. So yeah, there is this saying that there is peace through power, and that's part of it. And it seems like these Islamic extremists don't respect anything but power. So you really got to smash them over the head with it. Um, yeah, it's just one big mess, and we'll never really know who's all behind all of this. It seems like a little seems very backhanded and a little scammy to me. Like we're not seeing all that's going through. Like who's behind giving these extremists these weapons? How are they getting them? Like, are they really stealing it from these looting, or are they just getting sold weapons on a from a Burkina Faso, from a Mali, from a Niger? And these countries are behind destabilizing other West African countries. They disconnected them from an ECOWAS. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I'll pass the mic with that. But yeah, it's just it's a big mess, and I don't think that we have enough intel to really get to the bottom of it. We could just hope that the leaders of West Africa find some type of solution to all these issues, because it's been a problem for a long time, and it needs to stop.
Hey, Dinus, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna ask this and I'm gonna jump off. My question is, with Ghana doing this deal with the European Union, I was told that in the next coming years they'll be able to travel in those countries that's connected with the European Union freely, and with them providing military base, Ghana's going to be like an extension of one of the European Union countries. So for him coming out asking for reparations, they're going to build up and repair Ghana as a gift to them, allowing them to come in there and use that as a post. But I want to know from the guys on the panel, based off the history of dealing with, because when you talk about terrorists, the real terrorists have been the French and the British. Yeah, I mean, on multiple levels, and even controlling the money and keeping those places in the conditions that they're in. What is really the catch from your perspective, Dinus? What's really the catch with them doing that deal? Because we know how this white man operate. What is he, from your perspective? What does he really want from Ghana when they sign off and they do that deal with him?
Well, I'm gonna let Rokoy respond since she's Ghanaian.
Yeah. Can I come after?
Go on, Rokoy.
Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Yes.
All right. Listen, Ghanaians are very well aware of the shenanigans of Europe. We've been there. We've been the country that led the independence movement with the help of our African American brothers. There was a very tight connection between our pioneer leaders, the Nkrumahs, the Aqua Jays, and all these people who led Ghana to independence, which swept all of West Africa. There are the generation that is in power now. Many of them were tutors, young pioneer movement. Nkrumah had a movement for the youth, where most of the young people had to go through Pan-African indoctrination, which led to massive movements of people's consciousness in the continent. However, when we had the CIA coup that threw Nkrumah out, they dismantled all those programs and really pushed back the agenda of Pan-Africanism. But there were people who went through it, and many of them are in the generation of the 60s, 70s, and all that. So we have a leadership now that has the understanding. And even John Mahama himself is an avowed Pan-Africanist. That's number one. So that's for ideology. Now, when we come to actual tactical things that are happening, The Ghanaians are very concerned about the jihadist movement. Like, and one of the panelists had said earlier, that because Ghana seems to be stable, they are very interested in creating stability within the region. It's not purely about religion. Of course, there are some lunatics who think this is about religion and trying to make jihad for Allah. But much of it is more than that. It's a lot of geopolitics. It's about the economy of people trying to control resources.
Hey, we're losing you. We're losing you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. So basically, one of the geographical things that is not in our favor as African is the Sahel is vast, and many African countries don't have secure borders. We can come through lots of routes that are not official. I mean, smuggling is like the business of most people. We all know it in Africa. Ghana smuggles things through Togo and back and forth. So the key things about this is to secure borders. Now, I personally think secure borders, if we're moving into more of a looser border, might be a paradox. But again, I understand the need to know who's coming in and who's going out, because these terrorists, there was a time when the terrorists were amassing in northern border parts of Ghana. So I think that what Ghana is seeking to do is to play a little bit of straddling, right? They've got something that the West wants. They want the West wants influence because they're losing it. They're trying to replace the countries in which they had influence. Ghana is trying to be a middle ground for that, so that naturally Ghana has a good relationship with the Sahel. And so they can be an intermediary, not necessarily being people who sell them out, but can bring, because even we know that in spite of the AES saying this or giving this assumption to the world that they are anti-Western, they're not. We just read on the news that Burkina Faso has signed a deal for health services from the US. Now, I know that that deal was signed under duress because Zambia was forced to do the same thing. If you don't sign this, the funding that goes to your AIDS program will be withdrawn. We all know that the current regime in the US is transactional. So they force these people to make these choices. So if you have 2 million people in your country that are receiving subsidized drugs from the Western countries to take care of their AIDS patients, if they hold that against you, what are you going to do? Are you going to let them die? So these things are deals that are transacted for specific reasons. And it's easy for us to sit down and talk about, it's stuck in the 80s. We don't think about new things. We don't understand how new things are forming around us. So I personally don't think that there is anything that's sinister in this deal. I think Ghana is trying to play a game that we have become sophisticated in playing. We're not completely trying to make the West angry. No, are we trying to make the East angry at us? So we've always had that. That's always been what Nkrumah said. We look forward. We don't look right or left. We just move forward. We are not aligned with anybody. We don't want your mess. We just want to make choices that are in our favor. Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. But I feel like the panel itself and the people here, we are not very researched into what's going on in Africa. Some of us may know a little bit more, but in general, we don't. And one of the things is the language barrier thing. If we can get more people listening to European news, African news, both the Francophones and the Anglophones, we're going to have a better picture. There's a lot of propaganda, I agree, but we're going to be descended. I happen to be both Francophone and Anglophone. So I read the news, I get good stuff, and I'm able to be balanced. I think most people should try. If you don't understand the language, please use Google to translate. You're going to be a little bit smarter. You're not going to sound so foolish on the panels like this.
Go ahead, CD. Then I got to pass somebody to KO. We got a new CD. You want to respond to Pastor?
Yeah, Master Chair. It's good to disagree, and I like the way that you respond. That you don't agree what I said. The forum is more of being respectful and intellectual. What you said, it could be the ambition of Traore to go to Russia to say we need science and technology. But the reality is, the head of Wagner Group was heading to Africa when he was killed by Putin. He was brought down in a plane, right? So a lot of Africans may not know that people that are fighting for them are more of like a missionaries group. They are not professional Russian army. They are most of them in Central Africa. I will tell you this. So uh, saying that, well, Traore asked Putin that he needs science and technology. Yeah, that's more of a diplomatic discussion, and people will put that on YouTube to give that credit to Traore. Yeah, of course, this is what he's supposed to say. But the reality is, most of the people that are fighting in Africa for Russia, first of all, they are not even on the front line, right? So they come with that knowledge to help the African soldier. But the fact is, I have not seen any success story of Russia at all. There are some other African countries. Yeah, you have to work with the West. That's why I don't understand with a lot of these African that working with West with the exploiting oil. It doesn't make sense at all.
But
We
this is what I
cannot, we
would.
cannot, we are not even developed to that level. When you look at the
But
global, even in Asia right now, Saudi Arabia, the GCC, they all work with what? With the West. When you go to Japan, all these Asian countries, they
but
work what? With the West. They have more powerful than us.
but
So I just believe that Russia is being used by America to say what they are a threat to Europe, just for America to spread their bases over Germany. The same thing with North Korea, put them into a certain level that they are a threat to Asia for them to have their military bases. But the reality is, America can neutralize in any of these countries. Russia is no match to America.
what
As
I'm
I
but you
said,
do
the same thing with Maduro's. Maduro's were protected by Russia. America came and took
but
him
the
over.
but you have to
Sadat, I mean, this guy from Syria, or
okay,
he
I
got
could
rid of the Americans. So
do
I
you
don't
want me to
see if
address those two
Russia have
situations?
any success story anywhere. I've not seen it. I've not heard
City,
it.
Yeah,
city,
if I'm
city.
yeah,
Let me
sorry.
hold on. Let me address those two situations. As far as Maduro, if you want to compare Maduro to the AES, right?
No, I'm not making a
Maduro, no, no, no,
comparison.
no,
I'm
no.
not
But
even
I'm
want to
saying no,
measure
no,
about
no, no,
AES.
no,
I don't
no. But
want
no,
to talk
no,
about
no, no,
AES
no,
right
no,
now.
no.
Yes.
But no, no. But what? Cause I want to address what you just said. Because you just said that Russia was not able to protect Maduro or protect whatever happened in Syria. Those two situations is totally different. Because number one, as far as Maduro, from what I understand from the people who I spoke to, he wasn't like that. And on top of that, the two people who turned on him was his security and his driver. That
About
turned on him as
Assad.
far. Well,
About
hold
Assad
on,
out.
hold on. As
Assad in
far as
Syria.
Maduro, and then as
Mhm.
far as Syria, Middle Eastern politics, like it's something else. And from what I understand is they're not unified like that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying that Russia was the one that providing security for Assad in
Right, but the
Syria.
thing, yeah, right, but the thing
So
is
that's
like
what
if
I'm
you
saying. That it's
no,
better
but
than
what
what
I'm
Angola is doing. Angola is working with both Russian and American.
right, but
You
what
can
but what
balance
I'm
it out. It will
okay,
make
Yeah,
no
that
yeah,
makes
difference.
sense. That
but
makes sense.
listen, I agree what you're saying, but what I'm saying is just like someone gives you the tools, right? And they tell you, hey, this is how you develop a house. If the person gives you the tools and you still don't know how to develop the house, what can they do? They can't do nothing. Like it's not them. It's yourself, but then they can give you all the technology.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's just what I'm saying. But that's exactly what happened. What you just said is exactly what happened in Venezuela. They get all those weapons, and guess what happened? It got decimated, right? And guess what?
Yeah.
Hold
Mm.
on. But hold on. It got decimated, right? And guess what? Iran got those same weapons. They ain't get decimated.
but we
So
don't.
no, but I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that it tells you something there. You can get the tools, but if you don't know what to do with the tools, that's not their problem. That's your
Okay,
Yeah,
problem.
but
okay.
that's
Listen, one thing you have
yeah.
to
I
understand
understand
again,
where Igbo's coming from, but
any
ultimately,
communication from Mali right now, right? I understand Bambara. You, Madingo and Bambara is the same. So some TV station in Burkina Faso, they speak the same language too.
Right.
But the reality is, when Tumeni Toure was in power in Mali, they had some freedom press in Mali at that time. All this press that is in Mali right now, none of them are going to speak against Asim Kota. That's one thing about military leaders. They get rid of independent
That's
press.
true.
It's
That's
happening in
true.
Guinea. This is the same thing right now in Guinea. He got rid of all the independent press. Everybody is there talking in favor of Mamadi Doumbouya. When you go to Sierra Leone, that's an independent press. You go to Liberia, that's an independent press.
I won't go that far. But yeah.
Dennis, you don't
But there's some
you don't
sort of
mind
independence. So no
you
matter
don't mind
Yeah,
what,
if
yeah, yeah. Some kind, somehow. Yeah, somehow. You're right.
when
we
You're
could
there's
right.
a
say, hold
military
on,
leader,
No,
hold
you're
on.
it's
right. In Sierra
strategic.
Leone,
Hold
Sierra
on,
Leone
hold
got
on.
more independent press. I agree with that.
We could
And as
say,
with the
Hey,
people.
hey, Dennis, can I come in after? Sure. I
Yeah,
want
you
to ask
just
a
gonna
question
not
to
come after you,
Rokoya
Elvis.
since it's from Ghana, and Ghana seems to be the topic here. You don't mind, Dennis, if I ask Rokoya a question?
yeah, go ahead,
Couple of
King.
questions.
No, go ahead. I got
Rokoya,
Pastor
can you,
Elder.
since you're from Ghana, can you give us an update at the border based on what you saw in the past from the past 2 years and since Traore took power? Are the Ghanaians seeing an improvement at the border, or is it getting worse?
But the news has reported that. I mean, the last time I was up north, I was in Tamale, it was last year. Um, haven't been to
Signal
the
is really
border.
bad.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, can you hear me?
No, it's still crackling.
Oh, all right. I don't know what to do, but I'll try to repeat what I said. I said my last
Mm.
visit up north to Tamale was last year, but from
Yeah,
my
we
news,
can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Maybe you might need
Yeah,
to go out and come back, maybe.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
do that.
Hey, Dennis, I'm gonna, before Rokoya come back, right? Okay, the idea that Wagner is an AES, I want anybody to prove if you have a link, video, anything showing Wagner in AES, let me know. As far as my country is concerned, we don't have no a Wagner in Burkina Faso. When Traore goes to Russia, he stands next to Putin. He doesn't stand next to the head of the Wagner. And we don't have Wagner in Burkina Faso.
They are in
So,
Mali. They're
oh,
in
no,
Mali.
no. Voila. Okay. I just want to make that clear. And I'm going to piggyback to what Mensik just said. Based on, he was alluding to all this agreement we signed with Russia. Like we said, the language barriers prevent certain people to see that. So I have videos when you got Russian astronauts talking to future student in Burkina Faso, right? And those schools are being built as we speak, right now. The scientists, Russians are in Burkina Faso as we speak. The nuclear plant, the space is already checked, is there. So these are not talking points to make Traore look good. These are these are these are things that the people that live within that country can check for themselves. You see what I'm saying? So we don't come on here and trying to make these people look good. We see the evidence and we let you know this is what it is. If you don't want to agree and you want to I don't want to be here talking about Russia all day because I believe, like I said, anything that happened in the Sahel is our responsibility. Russia is there for a second and they will leave. And we the people from the Sahel, we will even tell the Russians to leave when the time is right. Don't worry about it. We don't want no military
But
base.
what?
They don't have a military
Okay.
base in the
But
Sahel,
why?
and they will never have
Okay.
one.
Hey,
Can I?
I gotta pass the mic to Babo Lico. Go ahead, Babo.
Yeah, but why? Let me make this clear. France, Britain, all these countries has been in Africa for years and haven't done nothing but build buildings for their own self and steal resources. So I don't know what Ghana is doing, bringing in these American forces and France forces and all these country that bringing in these French and American forces. Right now, I'm telling you, I'm putting it on record. They're puppets. They're planning something against the Sahel, and it wouldn't work.
What a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, oh, there's nonsense. Iran is having talks with Trump while he bombed them. So that's nonsense. That's nonsense. So they haven't talked with the Sahel. Trump has been sending his delegates there almost every single week, month to make deals. Why you think they're doing that? Why you think Britain just came out talking about Niger, talking about put back Bazoum? Like Bazoum was doing something in Niger when the people were suffering
and had nothing going on there. Now Russia is there, you know what I'm saying, helping, and it's a problem. They want to get Russia out of there, and they want to get these guys out of there. When it happened, I want this guy who said it's nonsense, I want you to come back here and tell me it's nonsense so I can deal with you severely. I'm telling you, these people is not to be trusted.
Okay, guys,
They have
I asked to speak earlier.
France had over 60 years in these countries, and look at how those countries was. Terrorists had almost 60% of Burkina Faso, and that's facts. And that's a fact. Tell me it's nonsense. That's a fact. Now, as Traore is and them is fixing their country, all of a sudden, America and all these countries, and I'm here in America, I don't give a damn. All of a sudden, all these countries coming now talking about, yeah, let's work with security. Let's work what security? It's all resources. Ain't no nonsense. It's facts.
Okay, let me. Can I come here, Dennis, please?
Yeah, Elvis, I'm waiting for you because it's supposed to be.
Rokoya is back now. She can speak.
Hey, I asked to speak earlier, please. So let me say this, please, right? So, in all fairness to the AES, right? I don't think we can take the fight against terrorism lightly. It is a tough fight, and I don't think any of us in our region will be okay or happy if terrorists are in our country and we're trying to fight to get rid of them. But in that same token, can you really brag about your country if you have an insurgency that you can't put under control? If they're encroaching and killing citizens of other countries who are traveling through your countries, thinking that your country is safe because you got a military strong man in your country, but people are still being killed by terrorists. So my point here is Ghana, for example, unlike Nigeria, where you have a nation divided and you have people in the Nigerian government who are aiding and abetting the terrorists within their country, which makes it almost impossible to have a genuine fight against terrorism. Ghana is less of that. I think Ghana is more unified, and you don't really see a lot of Ghanaians, fighting against their own country's interests by supporting terrorists. So for me, I think there's certain things that Africans lack when it comes to security. That's part of the reasons why the Burkinabés, the Nigerians, and the Malians, they brought in foreigners, i.e. the Russians, to come and help them with certain logistical things that they're incapable of. Ghana, hasn't been to war in a very long time, but they've shown to be capable bureaucrats and know how to run their country. They know that they lack certain expertise, especially when it comes to counterterrorism. So they're bringing in experts to try to help them and make sure that in the eventuality that they will need those expertise, they'll be prepared for it. There's nothing wrong with this. This idea that they're sellouts, like the other brother was shouting and being emotional about, they're not. They're protecting themselves. I said it earlier.
I disagree.
Thank you. And for anybody,
let him finish. I can go
right? And for anybody who don't see that, I don't understand it. But lastly, I would say this, right? If a country like Burkina Faso, right, can't maintain or can't fight and win the war against Islamic terrorists, and the same thing with Niger and Mali, right? I think Mali more so than maybe Niger. These countries, especially Niger, has been almost abetting and aiding the terrorists that came from Nigeria. Nigeria has been complaining about it, but they will tell you these are the same people, and they kind of blending with the population up there in Niger. What is the solution as Africans? Don't blame the Western countries, because they always tend to blame the Western countries. What is the solution? How can these three countries cooperate, and they have a big army, they have a strong army, and come together and fight these terrorist groups?
Okay, I will take it on. One second. You already spoke, bro. Yeah, thank you, Elvis. I mean, I'll take it from where you left, bro. What's the solution? For me, I think the solution is national army service. Okay, national army service is a must in the entire West African sub-region. I would say the entire African continent. I've been saying this for a long time. Until we have what they call national. I think, I'm not sure, but someone may correct me. I think Guinea is one of the countries that are actually doing that, where most of their civil servants are militarily trained. National army service is a must, because a lot of these youth need some discipline. They need to be trained. They need to be taught patriotism. How to actually, and how they could actually, defend their land and learn how to be patriotic. Don't get bought out by some foreign mercenary or some foreign invaders who will pay you peanuts to go and kill your own people.
Exactly.
And this is something that should be looked at, deeply by our African leaders, regionally and in the entire continent, because we know for a fact it's a global play. Okay, if you do enough research, most of these people are coming to the continent who are claiming to come in to help us, whether it's the East, whether it's the West.
Yep.
They all want our mineral resources. They all want some sort of, there's something they're after, including the jihadists have been funded, allegedly been funded by the West. Some of them been funded by United Arab Emirates. Allegedly, some of them been funded by different countries in the world. They want, because the thing is, what you don't understand, when that country is in chaos, the mineral resources are cheaper. It's easier to extract. You can get cheaper labor and stuff like that to get it out. Congo is a good example. We talked about this before. So we need to wise up. But the thing is, what they do is they play into the division. Most of these people are listening to us. They'll play into the division. They'll set us against one another. So we'll fight and they'll get everything out because that's what they want. Okay. And in fact, what really surprises me is when I saw the Nigerian president in the United Kingdom. Okay, this is not allegedly. I saw him saying to the UK Prime Minister, the reason why someone needs to mute. Allegedly, the reason why the problem is getting worse in Nigeria is because of the Sahel. He's actually lying in front of the UK Prime Minister's eyes, blaming the problem in Nigeria in general of the Sahel. How is that possible? He's basically inviting other people to come and join while he's blaming those three countries. It's just great, unbelievable. And someone just spoke about Niger Republic. It's one country that really have a mystery to me because it tends to be least problematic in the Sahel, which is sat in the middle. But most of the terrorists tend to be moving around from that country and doing their atrocities also. But then it's bad. Yes. Sorry?
I want to address that. I wanted to say because my
your line is so bad.
Your connection, we can't hear you.
It's really bad, madam. So yeah, it is a long term. We need to look at the long term solution to this problem, and also the short term solution. These are the two main key things. But our youth need to be taught how to be patriotic and learn how to defend their land, and also put into good institutional, and our army needs to be retrained because clearly something is not right, something is not good. We actually keep seeking foreign, intervention, and that's not going to help because we got things that they need from the land, and that is not going to come for nothing. We know, our government and our people are very skeptical, from these people because of historical past. And so on. So we need to work this out, man. This is just a bit depressing, to talk about every day. But thank you, I pass the mic. Thank you.
Let me ask one question to the guy who said, "Stop blaming the West." How did terrorists begin infiltrating in Africa?
The West got nothing to do with it. It's Islamic terrorists.
So they didn't bomb Liberia. So they didn't bomb up there. They didn't bomb Gaddafi, and it all started when they bombed Gaddafi.
No, you're comparing two different scenarios. It's not the same.
My God. You're an agent of the West, man.
Okay,
you're an agent of the West.
He's right by saying.
No, I was trying to add to the solutions that someone mentioned.
Someone caused
Let's talk about the solutions.
For all the blame of the West.
Well, it really destabilized the region. Libya started it. We can't lie about it. We cannot turn our back against Libya. Libya messed up the whole region, and the Europeans and the Americans, they know it. We can't pretend that didn't happen. The president of Niger at that time, when Obama was in power and they were getting ready to get rid of Gaddafi, the former president of Niger got with this guy, Obama, told him that we do understand that you guys have a problem with Gaddafi, but him being there is protecting a lot in the region. So get to know the facts, and before you guys take action. Obama told them, we will finish the job. That's what the former president of Niger said. They finished the job. You can see the timeline.
Just don't believe me. Look at the timeline. My country was safe until 2015.
Yes.
Right after 2011 in Libya. 2015, the first terrorist attack in my country happened in 2015. Mali around the same time. Niger, same thing. So you cannot sit here and tell me that the situation
I mean,
in Libya didn't have anything.
Terrorists
Right.
sponsor terrorists in that
I'm going
region.
to drop okay. I give you. Okay,
Okay,
I'm not gonna. So this is
explain what I said.
no. Let me finish. This is the facts that everybody knows.
I'm gonna drop out.
Okay, this is the facts that everybody knows, right?
Take care, guys.
You can spin it. You can spin it however way you want it. That should be that's okay. But that's the fact that everybody across the board agreed. The solution is there, right? In the region, we talk about West Africa, right? As far as the AES, how can we solve a problem if some of our neighboring nations, countries don't want to cooperate with us? How can we fix it? You have a situation whereby Benin doesn't want to work with Burkina Faso, doesn't want to work with Niger. Ivory Coast, the same thing. Last week or two, they got together, Benin, Ivory Coast, and the French, talking about coming together to fight terrorism, leaving us out. When Ghana called on us, we respond. You see what I'm saying? When Togo said they want to work with us, we work with them.
Wait.
So how are we gonna?
Abraham Traore was helping Benin. Abraham Traore was helping Benin and take his drones there and was helping Benin in the northern area. So how France is trying to help now when France been in Benin all the time?
You can listen to Traore.
Traore was helping Benin in the northern area. This is nonsense.
You can listen to Traore. No. These are the solutions.
They're working with France.
These are the solutions.
This is not what this guy is talking about.
When Traore was heading to Russia, let me tell you what is fact. Let me tell you what is fact. When Traore was heading to Russia, no, that's the solution I'm giving, and I'll be quiet. When Traore was heading to Russia, in his own words, the Benin military was going through it, right? They were being attacked. They called.
Yes.
Our army went and helped. You understand? And not only just a week ago, when they met with the French, the commander-in-chief in Benin said, we don't care about no other country but Benin. That's what they said.
Mm-hmm.
You can go and look it up. You can go and listen. Ask anybody in Africa. That's what they said. They don't care.
So who is the problem?
We are then as Africans, right? We are the AES.
The problem is Benin.
Between two
If somebody asked for the solutions. Our solution is to fight the best fight against terrorism within our region. If the neighboring country can't help, you got a situation with Mauritania as it relates to Mali. You can see that every day. Mm-hmm. So you cannot put that on AES and tell them, you guys should fix
the region. Good night, man. I'm not giving chance to my question. Good night, guys. Good night.
Donis, can I get 1 minute? Because everybody was cutting me off.
We got somebody new on here. I got to pass the mic.
Okay, sure.
All right, go Anton Morales. Go ahead, Anton Morales. Unmute yourself.
Okay, so greetings, everybody. So here's the thing. There's a lot to say, and I don't think I have enough time. So I'll try. And the first thing I will say, it is proven without a doubt that the fall of Libya was the reason why there's terrorism in the Sahel.
Thanks.
We're going to study to this, and it's going to take quite a while. So I can provide resources as much as possible, but that's a proven fact. That West did cause this. But I also agree with the other caller who said, regardless if the West is the problem, it doesn't matter because they're not going to help us solve it, but that doesn't mean we cannot use them. For example, at the end of the day, can we make a gun is more important than anything, even if it's coming from a Western brand. Let's learn from what works in other places. One person brought up Kenya, and I want to talk about that for specifically. Like, if the answer is, to me, is always creating boring systems. What is boring systems? Meaning things that most people don't have to think about. If you call the police in a nation, for example, they're gonna get there in a few minutes, depending on the capacity, of course, in the region. So that's an example of state capacity. Those are the things that actually can absorb the problem. Can the state see you legitimacy? Even if you disagree with your country, for example, like let's say if you agree with the United States or UK, they can get there and fight those and actually solve the problem in those areas. A lot of problems when it comes to the Sahel regions and also a lot of African nations is that they always build around a capital, but never around their border periphery. They don't actually focus on those areas because those are the areas or the outskirts where those kind of things are a problem. So not just the capital city. For example, in Mozambique, they have a similar situation in this area called Cabo Delgado, and the reason is because there's weak local governance there, and there's also a lot of abusive state practices. For example, like police who just abuse is basically almost not there. So once that area becomes, people get disgruntled, at the end of the day, they are not going to see the state as legitimate, and the state can't respond enough time in a quick manner. And once that happens, terrorism tends to happen. And the thing with the Cabo Delgado area is mostly because of it's more than just like religion. It's not even religion, really, mostly. It's mostly because of the fact that the state is becoming abusive in that area or not even responding to the issues there. And also another solution is that they must build a layer of security zone, meaning you can't just do it yourself. But the problem with Western Africa is that these three nations, for example, are working together. But if the other nations around them are not going to help them, that's going to be it's going to be not a losing battle. It's going to be a difficult battle, because as much as you can say, well, they've made gains, or they're losing these battles, at the end of the day, it does depend. For example, somebody mentioned Benin and Ivory Coast don't want to work with them. But if those states fall, what's stopping from those areas from going to Benin or Ivory Coast, for example? And also, so that's another thing that I'm looking at. Is that these states are not willing to work together. So, of course, I could also go about age. I think a lot of African leaders are very freaking old. Honestly, at 70, go raise your grandchildren.
Yes.
That's always been an issue. Is that a lot of these leaders, like, I mean, let's look at Cameroon, for example. Just that man is 90 or something. But let me not even go there. Point is that a lot of these leaders, when they are old and they are too old, they don't want to give up power, even if, like, I would say specifically is that the fact is that there's not only just the leader at the top, but also the leader around the areas. For example, the military around in these local communities. These leaders matter, and they need to be relatable to the population in a sense that, hey, can you actually understand the issues that I'm going through? So if you don't understand, why the heck should I listen to you? And then again, terrorism is another thing that happens. People don't feel understood. So at the end of the day, state control, state capacity is the ultimate solution, and it happens in more than one way, you know. So, and also, like, there's one thing I'll give credit to what the Sahel region are doing, is that they're trying to build a lot more infrastructure, which a lot of people tend to not overlook. Because if you can't reach an area, for example, if your roads are bad and it takes a while for you to reach that area, it's gonna be, they're gonna come there, they're gonna destroy, gonna cause problems, then they're gonna leave. If you can respond to the area quickly, infrastructure is gonna help you respond to that. So building roads is what Burkina Faso is doing and able to do it cheaply with the military. And honestly, I'll give them credit. That's a good idea that they're doing. But they will always have a problem if there's other nations around them don't choose to work. That's always gonna be the first problem. Now, of course, there's a lot of other things I can talk about because I got a whole list of all of these things. But I don't think at the end of the day, one thing I will also say is that you got to start working with more than one partner. And it doesn't mean when you're working with security, you always have to let them build a military base or all the other stuff. For example, you got to buy weapons. Can you make weapons? Can you build them? For example, Turkey is selling a lot of their drones and a lot of their military arms to a lot of nations. They're not choosing sides. They're very neutral in this. Okay. And the same thing with Chinese. They're selling the same thing. But can we afford, for example, drones? Drone warfare is going to be an important thing. Okay. We can't only look at like, oh, either the Western or the Russians. Well, there's also the Chinese. There's the Turks. There's also those people. And they sell weapons and they sell drones, they sell all these things. So we need to have more capacity to be able to build those things ourselves or buy them to partners that don't have an agenda other than they just want to sell things. Okay, it's as simple as that. But a lot of problems that the old leaders, all of these old leaders, another thing is that most of them got their education in these Western institutions. They are thinking like Westerners in that sense. The one thing I'm hopeful and I'm looking at in the future is that a lot of more Africans are getting their education somewhere besides the West. Some are getting their education in Turkey. Some, of course, people don't like Russia, but they're getting education in Russia. A lot are getting education in China. So you're going to get a lot of people with more diverse thinking. And that more diverse thinking eventually will make them not necessarily distrust the West, but it's going to give them a lot more open mind to actually work with more than one partner.
You know which study in Russia?
What?
You know who's studying Russia?
Who?
Who's part of the conversation today? John Dramani. He's studying Russia.
Okay, I wasn't disputing that. Sure.
No,
But
no,
now,
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. I'm just passing
okay,
out the information.
gotcha. But yeah, but my point is that, for example, me, I studied in the United States, but a lot of my family members studied in China. Okay, and I have family members who studied in the Nordic countries. But then now, a lot of them are studying back home. Okay, a lot of people these days are studying back home. Why? Because as much as people like look at the things that are going bad, education is improving and the institutions are being built. It's not that there's no institution; it's that are these institutions powerful enough to actually maintain in the pipeline to make sure these people are gonna want to go to college, get an education, and go there. I know people want to hate on education, but it's one of the reasons it reduces poverty. Is because if you can get a skill, even, and I'm not saying just get a university degree, but also, for example, vocational education. Those are the things that I'm also mentioning. So those things are important. But if I'm gonna be fair to the Sahel, because before the current, Sahel states, before them, these states had very weak institutions and a very weak state capacity. And what I'm noticing right now is that they're trying to build a stronger state capacity, but that's not gonna take a day. It's gonna take years, most likely. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then that's the thing. A lot of times we're gonna be very impatient. We want a solution right now, but it's probably gonna happen when, I don't know how old you guys are, but maybe when you're like very old, and then you're gonna start seeing the peace. And you may be saying that's a long time, but again, look at other nations. Look at Vietnam. Look at Southeast Asia in general. Look at China. Look at all of them. A lot of the generations came from poverty to now. It's just one generation apart. Okay, one or two at most. And that's probably going to be the similar situation in the Sahel. And the thing is that the African nations we got to do is, of course, work together, but it's more than just saying work together. It's actually working on the important things like security and borders. Okay, I'd like to travel Africa without a visa, but it's more important to actually have stronger borders, because again, you don't want to have the situation where just somebody can cross there in another border and cause havoc in your nation, and then creating more tension and terrorism keeps thriving, because we don't have strong state capacity. Those things are actually quite boring to talk about, and they're not very engaging in conversation. But that's how you actually get those things done. So at the end of the day, I don't expect the Sahel to solve this problem in anytime soon. But at the end of the day, I won't say they're not doing anything. They're actually doing a lot. But again, it's like
I think this is the paramount. This is the paramount issue that the Sahel needs to address. Is how can those three countries, come together, formulate a strategic military plan of action, and defeat the terrorists? Why aren't they one force yet? Because clearly, by themselves they can't defeat the
There is
terrorists
one.
within their own
There is
country.
one force.
Okay.
So why can't they defeat these terrorists then?
Okay,
They're
ask
more
the
than the
United States
terrorists.
why they can defeat the
They're
terrorists.
military minded.
Ask the United States why they can
So
defeat
now it's the
terrorism.
United States fault.
Wait.
No, I'm not saying the Sahel. I'm not saying the Sahel. Tell me a nation that defeated the terrorism. Tell me one.
Kenya.
Okay,
Yeah, still threats in there.
Kenya,
Yeah, first, but they push back El Shabaab.
What Kenya did was able to
They are running. They are running into the
terrorism in Kenya.
The terrorist is running into the neighbor's backyard. How can you defeat the terrorists if they're running into Ivory Coast and Ivory Coast isn't doing nothing?
Very close to Kenya.
How?
Kenya still has these problems. It did not solve the problem of terrorism, and I think that's the thing, is that when you
look, Uganda.
How do you solve the problem? They don't. They can only contain it.
Look how close Uganda is to the DRC.
Work with Somalia, for example, and Somalia also has some weak state control. Again, Kenya can only contain it. It still has terrorism mission. It has gone down, let me be honest, but they haven't solved it. Okay, that sort of thing. So again, I'm not gonna say Kenya hasn't done anything. They have, but the thing is that this is it's a boring way to look at it. Is that they have contained it. It's still a problem.
Well,
and it's
my problem here is you have three powerful military minded men who have control of a country in a coalition together. Why can't they use their military minds and formulate a plan of immense violence to repel these terrorists out of their territories? That's my question.
They're working towards that. The guy is explaining it to you. That is not going to be solved overnight.
They haven't done it already.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't understand.
I'm saying they have. It's just that you want the solution to be, again, time. You don't. That's the boring answer. It's not gonna take a day.
But I'm saying that's the paramount issue that's troubling them. Why isn't that the first thing on their list of priorities to deal with?
Why do you assume that they haven't done that already? Do you think just because we're gonna make this thing and then it's gonna
Because
solve the problem? That
you think
problem
Africa have a big problem.
There's no way for you to prove that they haven't done what you're saying. And second, even if
Dynasty just play a video. People are freeing terrorists. They're paying them because they can't deal with them.
Hey, guys, I gotta pass the mic to Bang, and we gotta close out. Go ahead, Bang. Bang, unmute yourself. Bang. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and close out. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty, Mirror Search for Huru. Peace.